Hey guys, today we're going to talk about a classic, and I cannot believe that I have not done a video on this before. We're going to go over how to make a simple stretch bracelet. The reason I consider this as a classic is because you can make a ton of them in like one night. So they're great gift kind of items, or if you've got, a craft show or something coming up soon and you need to churn out a lot of product for it quickly. Stretch bracelets are a great way to do that. I do want to give you just a heads up because I've watched a lot of videos, different people doing videos on this topic. Not a lot of people tell you that a stretch bracelet is not going to last you forever. Stretchy elastic cord is just fallible. It just is. It's going to break, it's going to stretch out, or it's going to get brittle and crumble. This is going to happen over years of time. But don't use like family heirloom beads, like your grandmother's pearls or something. Don't put it on a stretch bracelet and expect that bracelet's going to last you for the rest of your life. At most, you're going to get a couple of years out of a stretch bracelet. So it's a fun, fashion, trend kind of thing to do. And I want to bring you in right now and kind of show you just a couple of things that you need to make a bracelet like this. So this happens to be one that I made recently. This was using a bead mix a custom bead mix that I made and carry. I think we're pretty close to sold out of this one, but I have a ton of bead mixes on my website. So you'll need an assortment of beads, whether it's a mixture, whether it's, just an assortment of beads that you like and that you would like to see put together on a bracelet. Here is what I'm going to work on today, and it was a bead mixture again, but I added in some of these kind of wheel beads. They're glass check wheel beads that I just thought were really pretty in here. I added in some Tiara cast silver nugget spacers. And then I also added in seed beads just to kind of help stretch and give space between each of these beads. So that's your very first thing, an assortment of beads. Then you need some kind of stretch cord. And I suggest that using Stretch Magic is an option. Another option that I really like is the Opalon. This one happens to be black, but it also comes in a white. And then last but not least is the Miyuki elastic beading cord. The Miyuki elastic beading cord is going to be your thinnest. So you want to use your lightest weight beads if you're going to use the elastic beading cord. And then Opalon and Stretch Magic come in different diameters. This one is a 0.5 millimeter for the Stretch Magic. The Opalon is a 0.7 millimeter, but really it kind of works more like a 0.5 millimeter because Opalon is flat, whereas Stretch Magic has a rounded profile. So it just takes up more space inside your beads. So you're going to need to choose some kind of stretchy cord. I've used all of these and I like all of them. There are other brands out there. I've ordered some in. I haven't tried them yet. That's another video, right? In the future, I'll do kind of a comparison of all the different stretch cords that I've managed to find. Then the last thing that you're going to want generally is a big eye beading needle. And a big eye beading needle, it helps you string the beads. If the cord doubled over through your beading needle won't go through the holes of the beads that you're using, then you can, especially if you're using Stretch Magic, you can actually just get these onto the cord by poking it through. It's stiff enough to do that, but it will take you longer. So I personally like to use a big eye needle to do this. So let me get down to how we're going to make this happen. What I have done here is I have pre-strung. See the Stretch Magic is clear, so I know that that's hard for you guys to see on camera. I will do my best to be able to kind of show you what that looks like. But what I've done is I strung it right on the spool, left it right on the spool, strung all these beads on. You'll see that when I did this, I kind of just created some fun groupings. Like here I strung 3 of the spacers in a row because I liked that. you know, it might have been fun to do the same thing with these wheel beads. And I tried to space out the bigger beads somewhat. And then actually this is the mix that it came from. And in this particular mix, there were some really gigantic beads. And I just put those to the side because that just really, the scale on that for a bracelet is a little bit large, and so that's just not appropriate for our particular bracelet that we were working on today. So let me show you. I'm going to finish off this little set of beads here to finish off my stringing. If you haven't worked with a big eye needle before, what this is it's two pieces of steel that are welded at the top and at the bottom. And so you can open the center of these two pieces kind of like an accordion. So you have to get your fingernail in there and pull them apart. And then you can take something that is as thick as this 0.5 millimeter Stretch Magic and get it through there. And voila. Now, the bottom of this is going to eat into this cord a little bit. So you don't want to pull this too far out into, you don't want to pull the needle too far down your cord and then use that piece later, because you're going to want to cut this off here. It is causing a problem for that cord and it will not be as strong, and your bracelet will break sooner if you use that. Okay, so now I'm down to just stringing the last couple of beads here. So I finished with a seed bead, so I'm going to add a wheel bead. And then you can see I can just pull that right down over the big eye needle, and then a seed bead, and then another bead. And then on this side, I had started with a seed bead, so now I know that I'm ready to bring those two ends together. So let me get the rest of this kind of out of the way so we have a clear visual field. I will take my big eye needle off the cord, and then I'm going to bring all these beads down. I want to leave enough cord here on the end because I'm going to have to tie a knot. So I want to leave enough that I can maneuver with it. I don't want to cut it too short. Then I'm going to cut it off the spool about the same amount. And we can put that Stretch Magic to the side there. All right, this is where I have to get my glasses. All right, so we're going to do this. There are a number of different knots that you can use to do this. We're going to use what I call a surgeon's knot. So it's very similar to just a square knot. It's just that there's one more loop through the thread when you do this. So this is the old adage, I'm sure you've heard it before, right over left and then under. And you're going to pull that on down so that it's nice and tight in those beads. And then this time you're going to reverse it, left over right. And then here's where the surgeon's knot part comes in. So we did left over right. We're going to take it through the hole, but then we're going to take it through the hole a second time. And that's the surgeon's part. It just makes this knot a little more secure. And when you're tightening this all down, you're wanting to make sure it's all tightening right in between those beads there, and then you're going to give it a good tug. All right, so I personally like to add at least one more knot on here, just because I don't want the knot to come undone. So I'm going to do right over left again, and let's go ahead and do the surgeon's thing. Let's do it through the loop twice, and bring that down and tighten it. All right, now at this point, you can barely see the knot. You can see where it's just kind of sucking up right in between those beads there. But what we do want to do is put a dab of glue on there. And I'm flexible about what kind of glue you use. You can take a little dab of E6000, like with a toothpick, and get it there. You can use some of the super glues. Those will work. In my case, what I like to use is the GS Hypo Cement. And some people don't like to use this because the tip can be a little difficult or the top can be a little difficult to get back on because the glue keeps oozing out while you're trying to get the little pin on the top into the little tube. I'm going to show you a trick on how to make that a little bit easier when I do this. So we're going to take this and open it up. Here's that little pin that I was referring to, and then there's a tube right here, and you can see the glue is already coming out. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm just going to dab on the knot, like so. Make sure that I'm getting it on both sides. There we go. Okay. Okay, so now I'm to the, oh my gosh, I have to get that cap back in there. I'm going to just hold this for a second while I explain. So there's a very narrow, thin tube that this glue is coming out of. In one side on the top, there's a little notch, a V-shaped notch at the top. We're going to look for that V-shaped notch, put that face up. I'm going to place the tube on my finger and kind of give it some support with my finger, and then you glide this in alongside your finger. So if you're just trying to do it out in thin air, it's really hard to get them to match up, but when you're gliding it along your finger, it's a little bit easier. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around, and it looks to me like that little V-shaped notch I actually have some dried glue on here. I'm surprised that there was actually anything coming out. But it looks like that V-shaped notch is right about here. So here's where I put my finger underneath it, slide this along my finger, and boom, I got it in on the first try. Now, I don't always get it in on the first try. It wasn't coming out really strongly while I was doing that. But that's going to give you some tips on how to make this, using this kind of glue, easier. So then, ideally, you're going to want to let this glue sit for about 12 to 24 hours. I'm going to go ahead and clip off these tails, because the other thing that I'm going to do right now is I'm going to see if I'm able to get the knot inside the hole of one of these beads next to it. I'm probably going to do better with the size 8 seed bead right there. It's got a nice, decent size hole. Even if I'm not able to get it into the seed bead, you can see where you basically can't see it anyway. But to get it into the hole of the seed bead, I'm going to just come back here, and I'm just going to tug on it, and you'll literally feel it kind of pop into, I don't need to go quite that far. You'll feel it pop into the bead. And it looks like it doesn't want to do that for me today, but that's okay, because like I said, you basically can't see it right now, so I'm cool with that. You've got a couple of options when it comes to those knots. There's a couple of little tips that I want to give you. One is, I've seen videos where they say to use a crimp cover to cover the knot. I suggest you don't do that, because crimp covers have a sharp metal edge on them, and that is going to abrade that elastic cord a lot faster, and your bracelet will fail faster. I've seen people tell you to crimp, use a crimp bead and smash down a crimp bead on your elastic cord. Again, metal edge versus an elastic cord, the elastic cord is going to lose. So you can always use a bigger whole bead right where you tie the knot, so that it's a little bit easier to get it in to the hole of the bead. And then you also, another couple tips, you want to make sure that your beads aren't too tight when you tie the knot. Here I got a nice, soft, round bracelet. If you tighten that elastic cord too tight when you are tying that knot, you can get kind of some I don't know, kinks almost, it looks like, because the beads don't have enough room to move easily. So you want to watch out for that. And where I used size 8 seed beads to help kind of extend this mix, size 6 beads are another great option for that. So 8s or 6s are perfect for these kinds of bracelets. And they're super inexpensive. So that way you can take, you know, even just a single strand of beads that you love and get 2 or 3 bracelets out of it by adding in some accent beads and making those star beads the star. I hope this helps you out, and I hope you enjoy making a whole bunch of these for your, right now we're in summertime, and I can just see a whole armload of, 5 or 6 of these stretch bracelets and mix and match colors. I think it's so much fun to make these. Happy beading!